1, 0, and liftoff.
Welcome to Mission Control, Peralta Design's podcast on all things branding and digital marketing. Since 2008, Peralta Design has launched hundreds of brands with award-winning identities and websites. Join our hosts Ramon and Jorge as they use decades of combined experience to tackle topics with past clients, industry partners, and the rest of the PD crew. At Peralta Design, we launch brands. But for now, let's launch right into this episode of Mission Control.
Hey everybody, welcome to Mission Control, Peralta Design's podcast on everything branding and marketing and technology. And today we're going to have somebody here, a special guest, talk about fitness and of course entrepreneurship. This is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands. And I'm super excited to welcome my own personal trainer when I do attend, when I'm there on track, and a dear friend and an all-around good guy, Rob Rodriguez. Welcome to the show, Rob.
Thanks, Ramon. Thanks for having me.
Yes, excellent. Tell us your name, right? How do you say your name? Because I see your emails, Robbie. I call you Rob. It's Robert. What's your name? What do you do, and why do you do it? Tell our audience a little bit about it.
Well, sure. My birthright name is Robert Rodriguez, but when I was younger, my family and my friends used to call me Robbie. And when I was trying to set up a email account, Robbie was like the only thing that was available. So it says Robbie, and close friends and family call me Rob, but all three work for me. I work in the exercise field. I'd be considered a personal trainer, which is sort of a very general term for many things. And generally what I do is I help people reach their health goals, whether it's working with them on the floor, trying to prescribe them the right exercises for their body, so that they can reach their goal and not get hurt, or help them with their habits outside of the gym, which includes nutrition, sleep, recovery, and all that other stuff.
And for our listeners, what is the name of your gym?
Oh, we're called BDX Fitness.
How did you guys come up with that name? Tell us a little bit about that, because our listeners and I myself, obviously, brand guy here. I love the etymology. I love the thought process, and it's a unique name. So tell us a little bit about how you guys came up with that.
Sure. So the original name was called Biodynamics, and then we switched it to BDX Fitness. But the foundation has always been biodynamics, which is application of force on your body. So When you're moving, you're putting force on your body. Mm-hmm. So it could be good or bad. And then if you think about the X, like prescription, so we're prescribing force onto your body. So the idea is, hey, you're hiring me because I'm going to be putting force on your body, and you're hoping that I'm going to give you the right amount to be successful, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I got it. So the X is kind of like the RX, pharmacy symbol, if you will. That's where that comes from.
Exactly.
Got it. I mean, it's cool. I love it. It's short and catchy, and you guys have the icon for it that's a famous image, right? The man that's kind of like flexing and pointing his fist down. Can you tell us a little bit about how you guys decided to use that as your symbol?
Well, it's just something that, we really liked. And then once again, it's, kind of like a skeleton, or you can see his muscles and, everything detailed. And the foundation of our company has always been to have an educated staff. And if you understand the body, if you understand the muscles, the bones, and all that good stuff, you have a better chance of helping your clients more. So that's always been our foundation.
How did you get into this? Has this always been a passion for you? Did you stumble upon it? Were you always in super great shape all your life, or did you struggle with weight or muscle or any of those things?
I think, in the industry, typically there's two ways to do it. So sometimes people have an experience where they've lost a lot of weight and they want to get into the field. They want to share with people. I was on the opposite spectrum where I was always really good at sports. Naturally, it was very easy for me to stay fit. Mm-hmm. And I had gotten a degree in marketing in Spanish. And when I got out of it, I just didn't really feel like I wanted to do corporate. And so what I thought I was pretty good at was exercise. I really had no idea what the heck I was doing. But that led to the evolution of me really wanting to get knowledgeable in the field, just because I realized there was much more than looking the part. There's the education side to it as well.
Okay. And is that something that, you studied marketing, you studied Spanish, which I find interesting. What what makes you, or what begun to make you go down this path? Were you inspired by another fitness guru? Did you, when I was growing up, I was a big comic book collector, so I'd see like the Tony Atlas ad, you could get abs, or you can be strong, or they used to be the image of the guy getting sand kicked, in his face at the beach. What was there something that stands out for you as like when you decided to make this your passion or your career?
Sure. Initially it wasn't like I got into it and I thought I would be good at it just once again because it was pretty easy. But what had happened when so with fitness, there's nobody really overviewing the industry. So you could hire a personal trainer that has no background or anything, but just because you know them and you like them,
right,
you may say, hey, let me hire this trainer. So essentially I was that guy when I first started. And I had worked with one of my first clients. I had given her the wrong exercise. I essentially had gotten certified. They tell you to kind of pick some exercises. I picked this exercise. Lady starts crying.
Oh,
and
no.
I know, it was crazy.
Pain from physical pain or from humiliation or?
No. My personality has never been one to beat up anyone, but I never want to hurt anybody. So I gave her like a dip, if you know, like what a dip
like a
exercise
chair dip,
is.
Like a chair dip, or the dip bars, like a tricep exercise.
Exactly. And that actually put some pretty challenging forces on the shoulder, and it was not the right thing for her. And she just started crying. And after that, I was like, oh my God, I gotta figure out what the heck I'm doing. And I was fortunate enough to meet somebody that was really well respected in the industry. And that led me to really evolving and making my focus biomechanics, which is really more just understanding forces. So I was lucky enough to meet somebody, to be educated, to realize, hey, if I'm training your dad, you want me to make sure that I don't hurt him. You want me to make sure that I take care of him. And that kind of was like, oh my God, I don't want to hurt my mom.
Right.
That'd be the worst thing ever.
So right away, it sounds like you figured out like it's not a one size fits all. Like, when you order, I remember ordering like the P90X DVDs and then them telling you like, okay, like if you can't keep up, don't jump all the way up, or don't touch the ground all the way, or bend your knees, or they'd always kind of, because, you realize quickly, like these guys are in amazing shape and I'm trying to do this at home. And people have this perception of like, they're just going to go to the gym and do the circuit and be fine. But that kind of having that experience early on sounds to me like it gave you that realization really early in your career that you needed to be more about customizing exercises towards a particular person and their body type, their age, that there are many factors that come into play.
Yeah. I mean, I think as an exercise professional, you have to make a choice. Do you want to be generic? Do you want to copy what everybody does? Give the cookie cutter workout to everybody and make a good living, which you could be okay with. That was not okay for me. I really wanted to really up my education and my game so that I could really customize and help people. Because once again, a lot of people getting into the industry, they imagine working with an athlete or, this young person, where the majority of your clientele are people that are out of shape, at a computer, that are injured, that really need specific exercises to help them, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So would you say that's a big differentiator for you as a personal trainer, that you're basically creating custom solutions for each client?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing about our company and the staff here is that even if the staff is not up to par on their education, they are working on getting there. And we really want to help people. I think there's just too much in the industry. And what's happening right now is that a lot of people are just on YouTube and Instagram, and they're working with people that got their education off the internet. And as you and I both know, that you don't get an education by watching YouTube. You can learn some basic, surface level stuff. Right. But if you really want to dig in underneath the hood, you got to study, man. You got to put the time in.
Exactly. And you definitely are knowledgeable in this. Now, let's get to what I think a lot of our listeners are concerned about is how has your business been impacted? First of all, tell us a little bit about where it's located, because I think that's a differentiator, but it's also been a factor that has been hit by the pandemic. Tell us a little bit about how your business is set up. You kind of your current kind of monetization strategy, and how it's been affected, and maybe a little bit about what you're doing to survive during this time.
Absolutely. That's a great question. So we are definitely different than most of the gyms out there. So we are located in a corporate park. So you can consider us corporate fitness. So, I mean, talk about a drastic change, right? Mm-hmm. We are in this huge corporate park with, over 8,000 to 10,000 people that work within the park. And now there's nobody in the park. Right. And it's crazy. And because, you're in the park and there's only, probably a handful of people in your building. So essentially we had no people in the park. So when COVID hit, it was kind of like, what the heck do I do? Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing was we got to adapt today. So we really tried to focus on getting people to think about doing online training. Mm-hmm. And because what we find is most people don't do anything on their own. So obviously coming to the gym, there's that experience, somebody's keeping you accountable. You can still have that online. So what we do is we contacted every client and we said, hey, do you want to try this online thing? We also didn't have any online presence to help our clients. So what we did is we actually created a BDX members page, and we had never done that before. And I was thinking about that, but I was just lazy about it. Right. And on that platform, what we do is we provide nutrition classes. My mom and I cook together. We provide isometric classes, which are a little bit less impact. And then we added in some exercise classes that are a little bit harder. And we have some health talks as well. So we're trying to provide our clients, even if they're not training with us right now, accountability, something to turn to, somebody that they can trust to. Even if they go on and log on and see us, maybe it keeps them in a good place, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit it. I mean, that sense of structure, routine, and normalcy just kind of got thrown out of the window because people had this routine every day, especially people that work in a corporate park. You get up, you make your coffee, you drive to work, you drive home, you commute, and now all of that was like gone. So by providing all these services and adapting and pivoting, I think you created some new routines for people. And I think as far as fitness goes, it's like, I don't know, tell us a little bit about habits, because everybody says something different. What's your take on when does a new habit form? Because you essentially had to create new routines for people, and possibly, hopefully, new habits for them.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges, right, is that people really needed to create time. Once again, that's always been hard, even if you're going to the park. But if you have a family, if you have kids, you're trying to educate your kid, and then you're trying to make time to go to the gym. So we had to, I train couples, I train multiple couples, and one would have to have coverage over the kids, and one would have to work out. Then people don't have equipment, right? So we were driving to people's houses and dropping off tubings and bands and dumbbells.
Do you know there's like a dumbbell shortage? You recently posted about that?
It is crazy. There's a 600% increase in sales in dumbbells. It is crazy. And then some people don't have anything. So we've used the wall. We've used the pillow. We've used, anything that can create some type of resistance. The biggest thing what I've found is that people that are alone, my God, how hard is it right now in a pandemic? Right. And it's amazing to have some type of coaching, to meet up with somebody, to have a consistent schedule. Hey, at least every Monday and Thursday, I'm going to see Ramon. We're going to meet. We're going to talk. And even if the workout is not fantastic, at least I got my mind off of what the heck is going on in this crazy world right now. Right.
Absolutely. What would you recommend for people what's something that you've done as a business owner that may translate into some other businesses that people might be helpful? Because you've done a lot of creative things. You haven't given up. I think one of the things that I've noticed about you throughout this whole time is that you've remained positive. You keep coming up with ideas. You've kind of gone through some challenges with staff, and you've persevered. What can you tell our listeners out there that have a business that may not be able to adapt as easily as you have, that may encourage them to keep positive?
One thing that I would encourage them is to talk to people like you, or talk to people in their industry and see exactly what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lucky enough where I have built a pretty good foundation of gym owners throughout the country.
Mm-hmm.
And we have spoken and we have talked, doing Zoom meetings and just learning about what they're doing and how they're adapting. I'll be the first person to tell you, I am not an inventor, but I am a very good copier. And so what you do is you find out what other people are doing,
Mm-hmm.
and then you build upon that. So for instance, a lot of people when this first hit, because it was like March, April, people just started going outside, right? And so for us, it was like, hey, let's put a couple tents outside. Maybe we can get people to do some outside training. And we obviously started with the virtual, then we opened up and we could do the indoor. So now for us, it's like, how do you create a hybrid? So if I'm a restaurant, right, if you were depending on indoor, it's like, okay, takeout. Maybe I can do some type of catering thing outdoors for them. But once again, I think they need to talk to people like you that are thinkers, that are entrepreneurial, because you can't do it on yourself. Because
Right.
when you're in it, you're just stressed out, right? You're stressed out about everything that's going on with you. So I would recommend them talking to people like you or people in their industry.
Yeah, I like that. Thanks for the plug, but what I really like is you mentioned your peer groups and being in organizations where you can bounce ideas and find out what other gyms are doing. And I think that's great advice for folks. I was reading today of this new phenomenon that's coming out of COVID. They call it FOGO, which is fear of going outside.
Yes.
Right? So how I mean that ties in well with your online offerings. What are some of the things that you've helped people? How have you helped communicate the measures that you're taking as a facility? Because it's a beautiful facility with tons of equipment. It's just a gorgeous place. What are some of the things that you've tried to get people to get over that fear of going outside?
Well, there's a couple things. So we, obviously we're so different than most gyms. So what I always tell people is that because we're not a big box gym, we're not a membership gym, we are a private gym, we can actually control our space. Mm-hmm. So, we're able to kind of know who comes in and out. We can test everybody. So prior to appointments, they get an email just saying, hey, if you're feeling not great, if there's anything that's, you're not doing well, do not come to your appointment. You should not be here. We measure their temperature. We're wiping down the equipment before people use it. We wipe it down after they use it. My mom comes in and, we clean the space in the morning. So it's just constantly being cleaned. We were also using binders with clients, paper. We cut that off completely. We downloaded an app called True Coach, and I made videos on YouTube. And now I do all the programming online, so we don't have to do paper anymore. Like I said, I don't think there's any guarantees with COVID and everything that's going on, but I could feel good about that we've taken everything possible that we could think of.
Yeah. Well, one of the things,
action.
Yeah, no, you're doing a great job with it, and I love the newsletter that you're sending out and your social media presence. The members only thing I think is great. Looking forward to seeing that every Monday, and you just haven't stopped putting out content, which I think a lot of people make the mistake of. It doesn't help anyone to kind of stick your head in the sand. You're actually putting out more content, which I think is important since you have this captive audience. But one of the things I think you do really well, whether you believe it or not, is your own personal brand. The stuff that you're putting out there on social media. Chico, he's awesome. Reminds me of Handsome. I think Frenchies are the best dogs ever. I know they're completely like man-made, but they're just awesome. They're awesome buddies. But I love seeing the stuff you put out for Chico. I love the traveling that you do with your partner all over the world, and that you live this active lifestyle, which I think is so important if you're going to be a trainer. Part of differentiating yourself, and in fact, if you're going to do anything well, if you're going to be the best at anything, I'm a big believer that you need to build this personal brand, and you're really doing a good job of that. How much of that is conscious versus hey, this is just me and this is what I put out there?
It's definitely more awareness right now, because prior to COVID, I was doing a little bit, and when COVID hit, it really just changed my mindset. So I'll tell you one thing, and I didn't say this before, was our business was really dependent on this corporate park and the people that came in the park. So once that ended, and I don't know when companies are coming back, I have to market now. I didn't have to market before because I had people that were here all the time. So once I had to realize, like, I actually had to use that marketing degree, talk to people like you, and really start thinking about how can I build this glove of different sources of networking. So I was like, okay, hey, well, we have social media. And I think I live a life that is definitely geared towards health and fitness just because I love it. Like I love exercising. I love eating well. I love, and for us, we believe more in investing money in ourselves than things. So, and I think that's always a great investment for people to, invest in their education, travel, all those things, just because I think it makes us better people. So, I like sharing all that stuff. So I was like, all right, let me actually share me. And, I think people will respond well to it.
Yeah, I think so. I think what's something that we may not know about Rob right now, that could help us get to know you a little bit better as a person?
About me? Well, that's kind of hard to say.
The real Rob, because you've got the personal brand, and right now that personal brand is kind of tying into your business, but authenticity is a big part of this. I mean, you're a good guy, but I think that there's so much more you could reveal that would really let people know why is it that you should be really highly considered as a personal trainer.
Man, I just love helping people. I grew up in a family, culturally Italian, Cuban. It's all about the love. It's all about taking care of your family and friends. And I've seen how health has made my life so much better. Like, not just, most people I think go into it initially aesthetically, mentally. Exercise has changed my life mentally. I know some of us go to therapy, and I've done it before, but exercise has always been my therapy. So for me, I love sharing that with people. And, it's just one of those things where I'm really basic. I mean, I love exercising. I like food because I'm Italian, and I
don't know how you stay thin when you have rice and pasta, like, in your family. Like rice. And,
I know, man. It's
pasta
crazy.
And bread. How do you control how much carbs? I mean, are you doing? Do you believe in like keto dieting, or do you just do moderation?
Man, I believe in habits, like you were just talking about before, and. Just like exercise, not one shoe fits everybody else. I don't know that many people that have been able to sustain keto. I know it's worked, but it's very rare. It's really about just changing simple habits and also finding a place that you're okay with, right? Because at the end of the day, we look at all these people on YouTube and they're ripped and lean, but it's a major sacrifice of your social life, right? Yeah. So for me personally, I just love to feel a certain way. So I always choose that over food. I always like this. There was a show called Man versus Food. Yeah. And he would try to like it was like a food competition. Yeah. And for me, it's more like, am I going to eat it or am I going to not? And I've always just kind of like geared more towards like my health versus like, I'm like, does this cake serve me or does my health? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, I can personally attest to like a breakthrough moment that I had with you where I was feeling really down, and I can be, I can lose sight of all the things I'm grateful for, and it was one of it was one of those kind of points where we had a training session, and I was just feeling blah. I was just kind of down on myself for like my weight and how I was feeling. I think it was like might have been after a Super Bowl where I kind of overindulged at a party and I had too many sweets, and the next morning I just felt awful, and then I felt guilty, and then I just felt like I was just in this like downward spiral. And I remember you just asked me, you said, well, why do you think you do this? Why do you think you're eating all this stuff? And I said something like, well, I'm not a big drinker, and so I feel like I can have something sweet as a reward for working hard or whatever. I don't need much of an excuse. And you said, well, what if your reward was you felt better about yourself? And it sounds like common sense, but for me at that moment, it was such an enlightening moment. It was like an awakening, because I just had never really considered that feeling good whether that's feeling good about myself or feeling good spiritually or feeling good physically or all of it, that is a reward in of itself. And that the reward doesn't have to come from a food or something that I'm putting in my body, but that it comes from inside. And I don't know, I'm grateful for that. I want to say thank you on record. And I go back to that every now and then as one of our kind of bonding moments, because it really hit me. I was like in a downward, I was not in a good place at that moment. And now I try to keep that in mind, and I try to use moderation. I think for me, coming from a Latino family where a Latino family that comes from poverty, where like, having food was like a sign of prosperity, and it was a celebration. When you come from big families, there are all these things that happen to you. You learn how to eat fast, because you want to get some. There are a lot of fillers, right? Like there's breads and there's rices and there's potatoes, and there are all these things that are, as you get older and you realize like all those things are just, they're not necessarily good for you, but they make you feel satisfied. And now you're trying to reprogram yourself and you're trying to learn healthier habits. So thank you. And what is your plan? We're talking about, this is I'm going to turn 50. And I told you, like, I have like a few months to like whip myself into shape. And am I kind of like an ideal client for you? Like somebody that's middle-aged, wants to make a change or wants to whip themselves into shape, or what is your ideal client?
Typically we work with people that are 40 and over,
Yeah.
that don't have a lot of time,
Mm-hmm.
and
check. Yep.
that want to feel better, look better,
check.
and know they need some help. So
okay, check.
You're perfect.
So what are you? I know we've done you've got that cool machine there that kind of measures your body fat and muscle mass and what's out of balance. Tell us a little bit about that, and then tell us like what's going to be your approach with me. Like we have a session tomorrow. What can I expect is going to happen?
Yeah, so there's a lot of devices out there. So you could be very detailed, and you could do a DEXA scan. There's a lot of other devices that are a little bit more accurate on the body fat. But once again, most people that come in are concerned about weight versus muscle mass. Mm-hmm. So what I've always loved is not necessarily worrying about your weight, but concerned more about your muscle to fat ratio. So we can hop on that, see where you're at. And, my goal for you is just heading into 50, you built some really great habits. I know you exercise very consistent. We've talked about numerous times. Yep. Muscle's that catalyst that's going to help us sustain longer life in terms of better bone health. Mm-hmm. The more muscle we have, we'll burn more calories. So my goal is just to keep you on the path of strength training, because cardio is a very easy thing to do because it's mindless. Right. Strength training, it's effort. You're moving something and it's heavier typically than just walking. Right. And that's always been my goal for you, Ramon, is just simply make sure you do the strength training, because I know it's going to help you long term. Yeah.
And what do you think about the intermittent fasting thing? Because I've been trying to skip breakfast and kind of have a later breakfast or have an earlier lunch and then stop eating sometime around 8, but that's not always doable. Is there any advantage to eating earlier and then stop and then like, instead of skipping breakfast, like having breakfast, but maybe stopping at 5 instead of 8? Or is it different for every single body type or metabolism? Or does that screw with your metabolism?
So it's a good point. I think what you nailed it on the dot is different for everybody. The best way I could describe whether you're intermittent fasting or doing keto or anything, we're all trying to drive to the same spot. So if you and I are both going to New York City, whether you take 95 and I take the Merit, we're going to get to the city. The question is, which one's better for you, Ramon? Right. That's the question, right? And which is the one that you're going to commit to forever? Yeah. Right? Yeah. So that's the question, right? It's every one of them has given people success. But what I find is I've always tried to get to the root of what is going to allow you to keep this place where you are forever, right? Because if you lost weight and you changed your body, but it all came back, I didn't do my job. Right.
And that's kind of been my challenge is I just fluctuate with the same 10 pounds. It's either I'm up 10 or down 10, up 10, down 10. And it's I feel like it takes up too much mental real estate. You know, like it's one of the things that I think I think about too often. You know, I'm still kind of looking for the solution and something that's sustainable, because I did try keto, and I remember going for my annual physical. My primary was not happy about it. He was just like, stop, and in my mind, you're eating bacon, you're eating cheese, you're eating salami, you're eating processed meats, you're eating burgers and fatty foods. And in fact, they sell stuff that has extra fat in it, like fat ice cream and fat cookies and fat bombs. And you're just telling to yourself, okay, the weight's coming off, but what is happening to my heart? What is happening to my, at what cost? I look good, but at what cost, right? So it's tough. It's tough to sustain that. I don't think that we know the results of long term, because we just don't have the data, right, for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, and I gotta be honest, doing this 15, 16 years, everybody that I have had that has done keto, I know one person, and he's a trainer that has been successful with keto, that's like sustained it.
Yeah.
But because he's crazy, right? Like, we're the crazy people. Like, we like exercising, we like tracking our calories. Everybody else doesn't care. It's finding like the right system. It's funny, we had a conversation. I actually spoke to Jill. I'll give a shout out to Jill Carroll. Mm-hmm. She's a coach of a program, right? You remember we were talking about, maybe you would talk to her?
That's amazing. I mean, she's, I don't know, dropped 60 plus pounds, and she's maintained it, and it's the program. So from a marketing standpoint, I love how mysterious everything is, because they want you to kind of ask her about it, right?
So it's a program, man. I spoke to her on the phone. I spoke to her for like a half an hour. She was awesome. Yeah. Really, really honest, genuine about the whole thing. And but just another system. They give you your food, a portion of your food. I believe you cook dinner on your own, and everything is science-based. There's a doctor that kind of has gone over it, but trying to provide people with better habits. But I gotta be honest, man, it all comes down to the basic things, man. Drink water, sleep.
Yeah.
Their system is more about eating throughout the day, which I agree, because I think a lot of people do better with that overall. But once again, if it works for you, then it's the right system for Ramon.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. I think that's the key, and she's amazing, and definitely follow her and see what she's doing. And I know she's helping people, and the key thing is that she's helping people, and that that she finds people that it works for them. Right?
Absolutely. You nailed it, man.
That's the thing. So tell us about how people can find you, what you're doing now, like what your offerings are. I want you to tell us about the virtual training you're doing, which you're picking up clients all over the country. We have listeners all over the country. So tell us what that looks like. What does it cost, if you want to talk about that a little bit, and how people can get a hold of you if they're interested in your services.
Sure. So yeah, one of the biggest things, like we had talked about before, is now that we had we do online programming. And so what's kind of neat is I'd spent a lot of the quarantine just doing exercises on the floor and teaching technique and skill. So anybody in the country can reach out to us. You can visit our website, www.bdxfitness.com. You could also DM us on Facebook, Instagram, any of those things. And essentially what we could do is we can sit down for a consultation, complimentary, and we could talk about your goals. Everybody's different on pricing, just because it depends on how often we need to meet. Somebody that's beginning, maybe we need to meet more often in the beginning. There's more coaching involved, but somebody that just may need a tune-up, maybe it's just a couple sessions a month. So once again, we could always customize the program towards your goals and what you're trying to accomplish.
All right. Excellent. So best way to find you is through your website, and you want to give out your social media handles, like how they can follow you on Instagram or Facebook or any of these other platforms.
Yeah. I mean, my name is Robert Rodriguez. It's very common. So
I think that's a director too. Didn't he make like Dust Till Dawn or something?
Oh yeah, got it. It's great. Like, at least, like, if I was single and you were looking for me, you couldn't find me. So that's probably. But yeah, you could type in Robert Rodriguez. I'm on Facebook, but like, I think the easiest thing to do, because my name is so common, is just to go through BDX Fitness and, reach out to us there, and then I could take over from there.
All right.
I guess the curse of having a common name.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, you're definitely not you're an uncommon guy. I think you're a great soul, and you're doing this out of the real passion that you have for fitness, but also to help people. And I always believe that when you're genuinely helping people and you're gifted with a talent that you're passionate about, you're going to succeed. And just keep pushing forward. I'm looking forward to my class tomorrow. Take it easy on me. I think my biggest challenge is what I'm putting in my body, but I'm trying. I'm a work in progress, and I'm looking forward to that. So thanks for being on the show. I think you're really going to inspire a lot of people. Thanks for sharing where we can find you. And I think we'll have you back on because there was so much that we didn't get to talk about. You have like those funky machines there, the ISOFIT machines, and there's a lot of equipment that you offer that you're not going to find in your typical gym, and we'd love to have you back on the show.
Thank you for your time
to talk about it. Yeah, thanks, Rob. Well, everybody, thank you for listening to this episode of Mission Control. Until next time, this is Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands.
Thank you for taking this journey with us. To learn more about Peralta Design and our work, go to www.peraltadesign.com and subscribe to keep up with the crew.